What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crypto Savvy channel. Looks like we trapped some more bulls. Is that the case? Let's take a look at it. We'll also be taking a look at the traditional markets real quick before we begin, then into the DXY. And then we'll take a look at when I believe this is going to bottom. There's two options for the bottom, in my opinion, if we've not bottomed already, which a lot of people seem to think we have. I do not, as you guys know. Since December 2nd, we've been following the Amazon chart, and it does seem to be following almost identically to the T. So we'll be taking a look at that. So make sure, before we begin, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up. Let's see if we can get 1,000 likes. Let's see if we can get 2,000 likes on this video. Take a second out. If you've never smashed a like on any video, make sure this is the one. Also, share the video if you would, and let's get into it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you want daily updates. And if you tick that notification bell, that'll get you notified when I post new videos. So looking at the Dow Jones, guys, you know we've been watching this channel. Also watching it in the RSI right here. I do believe the Dow is going to at least come back down here and tag this bottom. I do believe it'll be, depending on how quickly, somewhere between 28.5 and 28 to the bottom here. If that breaks, we have much lower targets. But as you guys know, if you're just watching Bitcoin without watching the traditional markets, you're doing it wrong. You need to pay attention to what's going on in the traditionals. Bitcoin does not move on its own. Bitcoin is subject to whatever traditional markets are doing. As you can see, as of right now, the traditional markets are dumping. I like to keep an eye on the Dow. It does have more downside to go. We can move this over now. Any close below this 31,200 points right now is going to be bearish for Bitcoin. That doesn't mean that it makes Bitcoin drop. It just means that there's no bullish momentum going to be in Bitcoin unless we get above this area. The Dow Jones, or DXY, still bullish, guys. You guys know I've been bullish. I told you yesterday to watch for a bounce on the 55 EMA. Also, we're going to take a look at that 4-hour Bitcoin chart right around 20,200 last week. I showed you a 4-hour sell signal. We're going to take a look at that. But anyways, as you can see, the XY is still bullish. You guys know my target's around 112 to 113 up here. And if that breaks, then we look at the daily chart. Our next daily target is around 122. Now, guys, if this, I expect some resistance once we get up here. Maybe bounce around. This could be where the false bottom forms in Bitcoin. We'll talk about that false bottom if that's in November. And then getting back above this and getting support could be huge. If that breaks, we look at the weekly chart in the long-term picture, and we look at this falling wedge. The measured move of that falling wedge is 178. Actually 178 to 180 for the DXY, guys. You guys know I've been bullish on the DXY for a long time. I will remain bullish on the DXY until something changes. If you guys are interested in trading before we get into Bitcoin, definitely check out Prime XBT. By far the best crypto exchange, in my opinion. You can also trade the Dow, gold, silver, oil, S&P, pre-markets, everything, all from one exchange. Links down below. Use my promo code SAVVY50 for up to a $7,000 bonus, and SAVVY25 for 25% off your trading fees. So this is the chart we're watching right now. As you can see, we got rejected up here, just like we figured. This is a wedge. We have one completed wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could be very bullish afterwards, although, as you guys know, I think it'll be, we'll have plenty of time to buy the bottom range. I think we'll stay in the bottom range for a good year, possibly 2. But let's look at what's going on here. So if we look at this falling wedge, which we're in right now, if we come down to this $3,000 to $4,000 range by November-ish, I think that could be the bottom for Bitcoin. But I think it's more likely that we get to 75 to 8,500, get a bounce into next year. That 75 to 8,500 would be around, the end of October, beginning of November, somewhere in that range. If we're around that 75 and we do get a pump up into next year, I do believe it was just a false bottom and we will come back down. But either way, that 75 to 8,500 may be a good area to either buy some Bitcoin or put some longs in, and then just follow it, trail it with the stop losses in case that was the bottom. Although I do believe we'll see lower lows next year if that's the case. But again, if it plays out like this, we take this falling channel here, or I'm sorry, falling triangle. Let me get this RSI off here. As you can see, the RSI has a lot more room on the daily for downside, right? So if we take that measured move and bring it down to where we've broken here, that gets us to that 35 to 45. Again, that doesn't mean we're going to hit that this year. I do believe, and we'll look at it on the weekly chart and show you why I think there will be a false bottom. But that is the measured move from this triangle. So it's most likely we hit that unless we break the top of this wedge. Now, where is the top of the wedge as of right now? The top of the wedge as of right now is right around 22,000, give or take a couple $100, but 22,000 is as of right now on the daily, the top of this wedge. Now, if we get above this, then you can get bullish. And if you want to look at the super bullish case scenario, if we do break this 22,000 in the next few days, that measured move would be all the way up to 50,000 for you bulls out there. Although I doubt that's going to happen, it is also a possibility. All right, let's take a look at what I'm looking at here. So I do have a target range between 14.5 and 15.5 if this 17.6 breaks, right? I do expect most likely get a good bounce in this area, maybe even come back up to test the bottom of this triangle after that, and then a continuation to the downside. Let's take a look at the 4 hour, get a closer look at what's going on here. So on the 4 hour, we talked about this yesterday. These are our resistance points, right? So let's put one up here at the 55 EMA. So 19.9 is our first one, if we're even able to get that high. After that, we start to look at around the 20,500, which would be the 200 EMA. And then, of course, that 22,000. But remember, this drops drastically. So next week, the top of this wedge is going to be, possibly around 21,000. If we break this again, guys, expect to come down and at least test that 17.6 again. Again, if that breaks, look for the 14.5 to 15.5. We have this 15.5 range first, and then the 75 to 85, and then our 35 to 45. Let's take a look at the weekly. So the weekly, let's take a look at how I got these targets. Looking at this rising broadening wedge right here from where we broke, we take a measured move of that. That gets us down to around that 14.5, right? So on the weekly, that's what I'm looking for. Does that mean it happens in a week? No. As you can see, our old targets, every one of them hit. They take time to hit, guys. This is a long-term chart. Also, our next target is just looking at these. See, you had a bear flag here, which was just a measured move of this rising wedge or rising channel. Got our target of that 25.5 perfectly. And then if we look at this as a flag pull again, bring it down to the bottom of this bear flag. That got us our target, if you were watching, around 17.7. We called that way ahead of time. Like I said, it takes time for these to play out. Now, if we do the same thing, use this as the flag pull again down here, then we get that $84 to $8,500 target. Now, there is also another way to look at it from the break of this yellow trend line up here. Yellow, green, whatever. As most of you know, I'm colorblind, so that's why my charts are colorful. But anyways, if we take this as a measured move of a flag pull, this being the bear flag, bring that down. That's what gets us our lower low down here. Be careful, be cautious. Let's look at the weekly. This is the .com bubble Amazon chart on the left. This is on the right Bitcoin chart. Now, when I posted this chart and this video on December 2nd, 2021, I told you what would happen. Told you we get a big drop. Everyone gets super bearish. Wishes they would have sold up here. And then we get a rally. Then everyone's bullish again. They don't sell, only to make a lower low. I explain this over and over, and it happens over and over all the way down. And that is exactly what we've been seeing here. I've also showed you, let me move this over so you can see how the RSI on the weekly is playing out almost identically. Now, what I was talking about, if we do see this RSI break this trend line on the weekly like we did over here sometime in November, I do believe that's going to be a false bottom. But remember, could be a good place to long or buy just to get some gains in the false pump here. Now, this was 100 and some percent a rally right here. It doesn't look very big, but it in the smaller time frames, I'm sure back then people were freaking out, right? That was the bottom. That was the bottom, only to come up and turn back around and retest the top of this for the true bottom. And if that happens with Bitcoin, I do believe if we get that bounce at 75 to 85 and get 100% bounce into next year, I do believe that it'll be sometime from the middle or end of next year that we actually see the Bitcoin bottom. But remember, if we see this low this year, then that may have been the bottom. So some people were talking about the MACDs turning bullish. Well, you can see the MACD did the same thing in the same spot on the chart over here in the .com bubble. So what happened in the .com bubble? All the scam .com companies got washed out, right? They had to wash them out so the good ones could succeed. We need to wash out all the crypto scams, and there is plenty to wash out, guys. We will be seeing more downside, in my opinion. How long will it take to bottom? Well, like I said, everybody makes you FOMO and think this is the last chance to buy Bitcoin at these prices. Could be. I don't think it is, though. When you look at a macro chart, this is the same .com bubble chart, right? The bottom took a long time. You had plenty of time to buy down here, guys, just so you know. Anyways, just wanted to put that out there. Also, it took 10 years to break the all-time high. 10 years. So we had our all-time high last year. So if it was to take to 10 years, it would be 2031-ish. Just something to think about. But that doesn't mean you can't buy down here and make tons of money all the way up. Even buy a bunch down here and sell over the years, right? Your choice. Anyways, I just like to share my opinion and my ideas. Make sure you guys smash those thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and share this video. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'm out.